Hey there, welcome to Magma Rages episode 7. With me, as usual, is Pandemonia, and we're going to be discussing Ngoro. It's only a few days now, 2 days, I think,
Well,
or
sick.
3 days, yeah, 6th, sorry, that Ngoro will release. So, first off, I've already done a whole review series on Ngoro. Done most of 7 out of the classes so far, yeah. But we haven't really heard any of your thoughts, Pandemonia. What are your thoughts overall about the set, first off?
Overall, I'm quite excited. Always just a change of scenery, change of cards. It'll be very interesting. It's quite a big change in terms of love key cards are going out, and I've liked a lot of the some of the mechanics that the Hearthstone the designers have started experimenting with. I've really started liking. They've like the whole the priest card which says look at three cards and you get to pick one. That you think is your opponent's deck. They're starting to dabble into other mechanics. Which is really nice to see because it adds diversity, keeps the game fresh, and like I think we spoke about, it adds more like skill cards with luck. So it's like skill and luck. Cards
Yeah,
require a bit of both.
yeah.
So
And I think importantly, it's also a case of them adding new, interesting ways to play the game, right? Like the whole quest mechanic is really nice in terms
yeah,
of maybe not all the quests are going to be viable, and it's difficult from their perspective to balance those quests. To be fair,
yeah, and also to be
but
flavorful at the same time.
yeah, but it's a completely new way to play the game, right? In many ways. So it's actually very difficult, when reviewing these things to actually predict. We've got a big rotation out, as you mentioned, and a
Yeah,
lot of really new weird mechanics coming in. So
so
I
it'll
think
be
that's
really
making it,
interesting.
yeah, it's making it very difficult to predict. I think I've heard a lot
I mean,
of very different opinions on various cards, like from watching a lot of pros review the set.
yeah, no, definitely, and I mean that's always a good thing is when you have different pros who have different views of the same card. The fact that it's that. Because I mean, it's a bit boring when a card gets and all the streamers and everybody just goes, okay, that card's good.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
Troxel.
yeah, but I mean, like some cards which do end up seeing a lot of play, like where from the word go, everybody could kind of agree, a card was going to be good. I think from the
Yeah.
word go, Talon Trog, we all looked at it, we all went, this is going to be pretty good. You
Yeah,
know,
but it wasn't really good until
and then
later.
Totem Golem,
Yeah. And even
Totem Golem,
then
Totem
that
Golem was
needed
like,
Flame Wreath Faceless, and before that, Aggro Shaman really became worth it.
granted, but I mean, it's love cards that people you knew, like, whereas now a love cards are like, ooh, it could be good, could be like they range from
Mm.
it could be meta defining to it could just be garbage.
Yeah, yeah.
Is what I'm saying. The range of assessments are, and it's always nice to see that with
Mm.
cards where, even the pros are like, well, I don't actually know how to assess this. We'll have to try it out and, see for ourselves.
Yeah, especially with like the quests and stuff, it's very difficult to judge whether, quest decks are going to be dominant or going to slip back into more standard and like mid range and Jade decks, and it's very difficult, especially when so much stuff is rotating out, to actually predict what things are going to be like, especially with like the Hall of Fame changes as well. I
Oh,
think
yes, those are big changes.
I mean, the Ice Lance is a pretty big loss, pretty much killing off Freeze Mage. The Conceal, Miracle Rogue might still be a thing, but I think one of the other biggest changes is Ragnaros going away. I found
Yeah,
when building a lot of decks for Nguro that a lot of classes kind of failed to have great win conditions
and the
outside of their
Ragnaros was a,
quests, and Ragnaros was very often a way to have a valuable win condition in the late game. And without Ragnaros, it's basically like Ysera, Onyxia, uh,
Deathwing.
yeah, Alex Straza, yeah, maybe the Deathwings, but then like it's getting kind of weird, right? Because there isn't that support for Dragon decks anymore. So
It was a little bit. I mean, the only real kind of support is Priest with Operative
yeah,
and
but
Bookworm. I think is Bookworm. Bookworm Psychic. No, Bookworm was from Karazhan, I think.
yeah, Bookworm
So I
is
think
still in it.
it's still in. But obviously, a lot of the key cards are gone.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult to build Dragon Priest.
So
Pretty
now
much losing most of their early game.
I'm quite excited to see where the control decks go because, I mean, currently most of the control decks are all Reno based, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So now, obviously, Reno's gone. Firstly, are we going to see any singleton decks? Possibly, Mage, possibly. I mean, it's very
I'm not
slight.
sold on Kazakus.
Yeah, I'm not quite sold. But otherwise, it's going to be back to, Control Warrior might be able to be a thing again. Control wall. Like we're chatting, like a handlock-esque kind of deck might be a thing again.
Yeah, but going back to the
The good old
Mountain
days.
Giants, Twilight Drakes, Ancient Watchers, or the new
The
three
new
mana
ancient
4/8, and yeah, the new Ancient Watcher
watch,
with just like double Sun Furies, double Defender of Argus,
and even maybe the egg,
not Flaming Faces. What's the Faces
Shambler,
Shambler? Yeah, that's still a good
and
card.
and even possibly the big egg.
The Devil
Or-
Saw Egg.
Yeah, I mean it's
Uh,
possible. I mean remember for Wild, I think it also saw a bit of play in handlock.
what Nerubian Egg?
Yeah, it's a little bit.
It's just really awkward because you want to hit Giant on 4 or Drake with buffs,
Yeah.
so playing things before that is awkward.
Well,
Um,
Imgank boss is gone as well,
yeah,
so
so I mean, it have to be like Shadow Ball. I think on that point of sort of the control decks are going to have to change a lot. I'm actually very much looking forward to more consistent control decks in that sense.
yeah, because
Um,
Reno decks are not
because Reno decks just like they're so polarizing and so like often very polarizing on whether you draw the key cards because you've
yeah.
now made your deck quite inconsistent. So I'm looking forward to. I think more consistent control decks might help to beat up on the aggro decks more often, right? Because sometimes, like, let's say Reno Mage is supposed to counter Pyro Warrior, but actually your Pyro Warrior just draws like it normally draws, and Reno Mage doesn't get Volcanic Potion, it doesn't get Ice Block, it doesn't get
Yeah,
Reno,
exactly.
and it just falls over.
Yeah, I mean, all the Reno decks have suffered from a similar issue. Even the
Yeah.
supposedly good matchups, you draw the wrong cards in the wrong order and you just lose, and you can't even say you could have played better. It's just
Yeah.
the order of the cards. But yeah, so,
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to say those. Don't want to say those decks are like purely draw dependent, but they do feel a lot more like, especially playing against them. I feel that most of the time you shouldn't necessarily respect cards. Like you shouldn't
yeah,
respect the Hellfire half the time. You shouldn't respect the Demon Wrath, especially if they've had an opportunity to play it and they haven't.
yeah,
Like, and now it's going to be, you're going to have to respect Brawl a lot more. I mean, you're pretty much, like, playing against a control warrior, you go the whole game respecting Brawl, pretty much,
yeah,
right? Unless there's been, like, 2 or 3 turns they could have brawled and they haven't, and you can make a read that you can push for to win the game in the next turn or two. So,
yeah.
just having those control decks having more consistent cards, I think it's going to make it better playing against them and better playing with them.
Yeah, because now you've got also a lot more early game taunts. You've
Yeah?
got you got the elementals. You've got uh,
The tar in
the
general.
the tar guys in general. Pretty
Yeah.
good value. Control loves them. I mean they're overstated in your opponent's turn basically.
Yeah, yeah. I think they're a little easy to overrate. I'm not sold that they'll be in as many decks as people think they will be, but in the
Yeah,
very pure control decks, they probably will be quite decent.
especially if you can get the dream obviously of tar creeper into the what's it the
Tolvia,
12 yeah,
yeah,
obviously I
Tolvia
mean that's
Warden also.
the 3 into 4 drop is obviously the dream.
Yeah, yeah. The 4 mana 3/5 with the Vine Shield and
Exactly.
Taunt if
Yeah.
you played an Elemental last turn. Yeah, so I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting mechanics that Blizzard are playing with in this new expansion. I think a consequence of this is that some of the classes are going to really fail at these mechanics, and we're going to end up with some polarized, really bad classes again, and we're going to end up with some classes having a huge change in how they play and sort of their power level based on their new quests
Yeah,
and
I'm a
like
bit
the new
worried about
cards
that
they're
as well.
releasing. So
Is that like
yeah, I think we're definitely going to have like 2 or 3 trash tier classes again.
I really hope not though, because it's been a very long time in Hearthstone where all 9 classes have been equally viable.
Yeah, I mean, in some formats, tournament formats and stuff, Paladin was still viable in this thing. The only real trash tier class was Hunter. And I mean, I definitely think that's going to change in Journey to Ungoro.
Yeah.
Um, but on that point, let's get straight to it. How would you rate the 9 classes? You can either start from the bottom or from the top. How would
So
you rate
I
them in post the
so
expansion release?
broadly speaking, I would group. I would say that sort of let's say your dumpster tier or not so good. I would still rate Paladin. I would still rate Paladin as being pretty bad. I mean, unless that Murloc and that one cost Murloc makes aggro makes, aggro buff
You mean
paladin.
the two mana one too?
Yeah, the two mana one two. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Primal
Unless that,
Fin or Primal
unless
something.
that with let's say Golvadon becomes a thing, which I really don't see, the buffing working that well. I still don't think paladin's gonna be that great.
I think Paladin definitely has to go in that buff direction, and I think that deck is going to almost always be an aggro deck, which is a pity
All in
because
aggro
the
deck.
Stegodon card, Stegodon buff card is pretty good, and I just don't feel like it has a place. And same with the other legendary. So I feel like that deck is going to be somewhat inconsistent and probably
You're looking,
just not anywhere near the best aggro deck, right? It just has a huge finisher in Galvadon. And even
yeah,
that is not guaranteed consistent because you could easily not get the Wind Fury or the stealth that you're looking for.
yeah. So yeah, and then for me the other one on the expansion, I think Druid didn't get much, so I feel Druid is actually. I mean, so the quest I don't think is that good. It's
No.
it's going to be too inconsistent. Not to mention that by the time you've completed it, you'll probably have the mana to play a lot of the guys cards anyway. So it's unless you have big nourish turns. So I think from that regard, the Druid quest deck's not going to really be a thing. But what will still be, I think, what will probably still be a deck is Jade Druid. And now whether that's good enough or not, I mean, it will basically be exactly the same deck. I don't think it really wants any of the.
Yeah.
Not, I mean, as I just browse over the Druid card, I don't think. I mean, they maybe want the new that 4 mana that Shell Shifter, but besides
Mm,
that, I can
even that is.
honestly, I can
Com-
honestly, I look at the rest of Druid cards and go, there's probably not much that Jade Druid really wants.
yeah. I
Maybe
think the big thing with Jade Druid is why it's actually been pretty good in this meta is that the meta is very polarized between control decks and aggro decks at the moment. There's actually not that many mid-range decks. Only really Priest and Jade, mid-range Jade Shaman, and both of those prey quite heavily on Druid. I think that the Jade Druid deck is going to be pretty weak to the mid-range decks, and I think that it looks like this meta might be more mid-range unless the Hunter Quest is super dominant and everyone has to go aggressive to deal with that. Uh, if that's not the case, then I think the meta is going to be a lot more mid-rangey. It seems most of the power plays and stuff are like really coming in the middle of the game. We're lacking those huge finishes outside of the
yeah,
quests, and it's going to take 6 to 10 turns at least on average to finish quests, which means the games are going to go more mid-rangey. They're going to be most of the quests involve playing minions, so they're not going to be like heavy control decks necessarily. So that's kind of the direction I see the meta going as a whole, and I think that's going to punish Jade Druid to the point where Jade Druid is actually not going to be as anywhere near as good as it is at the moment even.
yeah, and that's exactly why part of it is I think so I think Druid was going to kind of also not be so good.
Yeah.
Another class which like I'm sort of obviously very skeptical about, but it's losing most of the cards for all of its established archetypes is Mage. I mean, Freeze Mage is
Yeah.
basically going to be dead. Tempo Mage in its current iteration is going to be dead.
Yeah,
So
no Flame Waker is a huge
so
loss for
now,
Tempo Mage.
now it's going to be a case of is Secret Mage going to be a deck, or is a combo like deck, a control combo deck that revolves around the quest going to be a thing? With Alexstrasza and Arcane Giants, or with some form of burst. I mean, so
Yeah.
that's sort of if it could either be absolutely amazing or it could be dumpster tier. For me, I feel it's kind of a wild card
Yeah.
because there's no existing archetype. It will just improve. Like it's not
Yeah,
just
yeah.
it will slot into this deck or it will slot into that deck.
Yeah, the Mage Quest deck is going to be a very, very difficult deck to build. Like I attempted to build like an OTK version of that, but using the Arcane Giant and Alexstrasza combo after time warping. But it is definitely going to be a very difficult deck to build and a very difficult class to analyze because, as you say, most of the other existing archetypes are pretty much going away. So if that OTK deck is not a thing, then Mage is going to be pretty dumpster tier.
Yeah, like I don't it's that and maybe a tempo secret deck, but I
Yeah,
don't know if there's enough enablers
I mean,
there.
there could just be a pure value control mage, like trying to win on the back of Pyros and stuff, but I just don't see enough pure value cards to play. Like, what are the big late game threats? How do you actually win the game as that mage?
Kabbalah's Tomb.
Because you're never going to win against Jade Druid or
Yeah,
any
yeah,
Jade
that's always the
decks,
big
that's for
problem. Yeah.
sure, right? So it's a question of how do you win the game. And if you're going to play Kabbalist's Tomb, you may as well go for the quest deck, right?
exactly. So
Yeah,
there
so
might be some hybrid, but yeah.
I think we're definitely going to see kind of a control quest deck, which I think is going to suffer against Jadrid, although do lose Feral Rage, I believe, which is actually a pretty big loss for them. Um, or do they? I'm actually not sure.
I don't think I know they lose Living Roots,
Yeah, they lose
but
Living Roots.
I don't think they lose Feral Rage. They don't lose
Okay.
Fandral.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
Anyway, like with Feral Rage, they can obviously make sure they will withstand a 16 damage combo. And with like and Warrior as well, and like just in general, the taunts are going to be good against the straight up like Arcane Giant combo. So it's going to be very difficult to analyze Mage, but I would say it's definitely going to be one of the bottom four classes. Um, the other
yeah.
class I think is probably the most trash tier to me is going to be Priest. I think
Yeah,
that
you see, that's the one where I will, as a Priest fan, I think it's going to like for me.
dude, I tried to build a Death Rattle deck. I just don't see enough good Death Rattles. Maybe I'm heavily underrating the cards that like the Totalan Shell Razor and the Crystalline Oracle, but I feel like they're too inconsistent in that you're getting cards from your opponent's deck and the Crystalline Oracle is not that good. Um, I think the best Priest deck might be a Tempo Priest deck with Radiant Elementals and Lyra. I think that might be better than the Death Rattle Priest, but I mean,
Yeah.
Blizzard said in their testing that Death Rattle Priest was the strongest deck. So
Who are we?
if Blizzard actually are good at their own game, then maybe we're wrong. Maybe Priest will be good, but well, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe in
So the
Priest.
so the classes I've kind of put in the mid to, let's say, tier two kind of area. So Priest is one of them for me. I think it's going to be decent. Uh, I think it's also going to be there might be like you say, there might be a tempo version. I think there might even be a combo version with what's it called,
Shadow Visions.
Shadow Visions. I think there's
Maybe.
potential. I think there's potential there.
The question is,
Uh,
what is your combo, right?
I mean, you still Velen. You still
You can't get reductions, so you have to have like multiple radiant. You have to have double radiant elemental. You play Velen, and you go Shadow Visions, Mind Blast, Shadow Visions, Mind Blast. Play your other Mind Blast from your hand. You
yeah,
do
like I mean,
30 damage. That's an exact 30 damage combo. That is super conditional on two radiant elementals surviving a turn. So it takes a turn of setup, and you need to actually have drawn both visions and still have a Mind Blast in your deck and a Mind Blast you've drawn. I think that's literally worse than the possible Druid combo deck.
yeah,
At least
granted.
that's the combo I see, right? So certainly the Velen
Yeah.
combo. Like, I mean, I'm all for combo decks, so I'll gladly play Priest if there's some like a reliable combo deck for Priest. But
I think for me, I think also Rogue is there. Like I see,
mm,
like some of the Rogue cards look like okay, the card in the vacuum is semi good, semi decent, but in terms of there being a deck, like Miracle Rogue might still be a thing. Obviously, we're losing Conceal, which is obviously a very big loss.
and Tomb Pillager. I think Tomb
And Tomb
Pillager is
Pillager.
arguably a bigger loss than Conceal,
Uh,
actually, weirdly enough.
but in terms of the other the new cards, not many of them, or most of them seem to be angling towards, the quest, which
Yeah.
I personally don't think is that amazing, and I'm not sure if it's worth trying to build the quest where you're going to have to run things like, obviously Shadow Steps, probably maybe Youthful Brewmasters, to try and
Yeah, yeah.
play
So,
minions again.
I
So
mean, I built a Rogue Quest deck, and I mean, I definitely think that the Rogue Quest deck is going to have to be an aggressive deck. You need to make huge use of those 5/5, like the fact that you get all your minions to 5/5. So you need to be playing like cheap minions that do stuff on the turn you play them. To make your the way to achieve the quest better or like easier, and B, just so that because 5/5s don't really scale. Like going into turn 10 or like against Jade Druid, 5/5s are not going to be good. So you need your
yeah,
5/5s to do something, right? Like let's say a South Sea Deckhand. It's essentially a 1 mana 5/5 with charge.
yeah,
That's pretty
you're gonna have
good
to
if you have a
win.
weapon.
That's the thing.
So
So
you
yeah,
can have burst turns maybe with Cold Blood, but when building the deck, I literally couldn't even fit Cold Blood in because of all the extra bounce stuff I needed. So I don't
yeah.
know.
So yeah, that's the thing. So I mean, maybe a mid-range rogue becomes a thing, but for me, there's no real clear-cut, archetype that I see it being amazing. And then another one which I think is probably heading towards being one of the better classes is Warlock.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be the absolutely dominant class, but I definitely see, due to the different cards, that the viability is there. So I think there's definitely tools for a control warlock, a handlockish type deck, or even a
Yeah.
demon. I would hazard to say a demon kind of, even possibly a demon sort of demon mid range.
I don't know. I feel like if you're gonna go demon mid range, you probably just gonna play Zoo. Like I suppose
Yeah,
maybe it's just a less aggressive version of
a less
Zoo.
aggressive zoo. I mean,
So
a discard zoo might still be a thing
yeah,
because
I think we're definitely gonna have the Lakari sacrifice kind of Zoo and just Zoo that has Soulfires and Doom Guards in because they're good
yeah.
cards. And with maybe Clutch Mother and maybe even Silverware Golems, those might get cut even. Um, So I definitely think Zoo. I think Zoo is going to be pretty strong. I think the biggest
Yeah,
worry for Zoo is that Pyro Warrior might still be a thing, and
yeah, Pirate Warriors.
that deck just shits on Zoo. Um, and Shaman being decent still, and like having Maelstrom Portal and stuff. I think Zoo is going to be a good deck in a vacuum,
Yeah,
but with the other strong classes, it
defensive
might
will it
find
be
a
good?
difficult place for it to be. So we might actually see some kind of like control-y handlock deck being more prevalent, with the stuff we were discussing before, the ancient watchers, modern mountain giants, and those kind of things. Yeah, and
Yeah.
taunting up your big stupid minions that can't attack.
The classes that I think are going to be dominant. We can obviously chat do them one by one, but in no particular order, I think Hunter, Shaman, and Warrior are
Yeah,
going to be amongst the dominant classes of the Reese of Ngora. So Hunter obviously got in the Blizzard have kind of done the thing of, oh, the class has been doing bad. Let's now just give it like lots of silly cards, like lots of really strong, you
yeah.
know,
Just
sort
like
of.
there's quite a few cards that like even outside of the quest are just pretty objectively good, right? Like I think Tolvir Warden, for instance, is just objectively good.
It's
Um,
five. It's 5 mana for 3/5 draw two cards, kind of.
Yeah, and the cards you're drawing are thinning your deck, which is very relevant. I mean, like it seems like you have to put shitty cards in your deck, but we've seen. I actually think this card is almost most similar to um, Mysterious Challenger. Now that I think about it, in that you thin your deck of the weak draws, meaning it's better. Your remaining draws are like better on a higher
Yeah,
percentage, and you get like you can put the weaker draws in so that you have like maybe an earlier curve. Whereas putting one drops in your deck is probably better than putting secrets in your deck, just because
because you
the
can
one
still
drops
play them
do
on
help
turn.
you to curve out. And yeah, I mean,
The better early game.
yeah, one of pretty much the reason Hunter is so trashed here right now is actually just their early game sucks. Like
Yeah, they can't keep up with
they
the
can't
control.
contest. Well, they can't contest Shaman and Warrior
Pirate
in
Warrior.
particular in
Yeah,
the early game.
because all their drops just die.
Yeah,
Like horrible.
they just suck.
So yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of cards even like Dynamancy and Stampede. Honestly, like
Dynamancy sucks. Stampede might be good. Doesn't that's
Stampede, it's a build up
TLDR.
army from. But Dynamancy, honestly, I mean, obviously, it's a case of it's similar, like in a way, it's like Shadow Form. Change your hero power. If you draw a second copy, it's pretty garbage.
Yeah,
But the ability to
and Shadow
buff,
Form's pretty garbage.
no,
And
yeah, but the
arguably,
ability
Shadow Form is a better hero power.
to buff a beast plus two. I mean,
I mean, dealing 2 damage is like to minions is pretty good. I mean, Hunter has a. I think Hunter's hero power is actually just too good for what Hunter wants to do most of the time. Like, not
I thought
necessarily go
like
face, but even in
Dynamancy.
mid-range decks, it's a good way to put pressure on and finish the game.
I
And
mean,
I don't
then
feel Dynamancy does that.
in Happy Christmas Land, let's think the Hunter Quest plus Dynamancy means you have 3 mana 5/4s.
Sure, like if you're able to attack on the turn you're buffing the minion, Dynamancy is just strictly better than normal Hunter hero power, right? Because they're keeping the buff post that attack. But I don't think that's going to happen the majority of the time. So I don't want to get too much into discussing
Yeah,
specific cards, but
but
I,
yeah,
I agree
so I
that
think Hunter.
Hunter's going to be
I
pretty
mean,
good.
and the Macaw is going to be obviously silly, free beast,
I mean, I don't
1/1.
even think the Macaw is necessarily going to be their best one drop. We might finally see Alley Cat live up to its promise. I think Crackling Razormaw is really good as a 2-drop follow up. The biggest problem with Crackling Razormaw, and pretty much all the 1 drops, is if you're playing the quest deck and you play the quest on one, you're playing like one or two one drops on two, right? So you're not actually
Yeah,
getting like
it
I
hurts
think
your
that
curve a bit.
yeah, the one thing a lot of people forget is that the quests really hurt the curve and change the curve a lot. So like for the especially any aggro based quest decks, you're missing your one drop, and that's pretty huge. But if all the other decks are also missing their one drops and quests are prevalent, then it's okay. Um, but for stuff that wants to curve out specifically, it's a bit weird.
Pirate Warrior's still gonna Pirate Warrior's still gonna shit on your face though. It's
Yes, it's not going to play the
oh
quest.
oh, you played a quest turn one. Okay, well I will just hit you in the face,
Yeah,
with
Zos
my
first made
pirates
patches.
and patches and my weapon.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah, I agree. That's quest decks are definitely going to be a bit weak to that, but hopefully the other tools they've given neutral in general with like the taunts
yeah.
and stuff can make up for it if Pirate Warrior is still prevalent. Um,
So onto Shaman. I think
yeah,
also Shaman's I think is still going to be a powerhouse. A
yeah,
lot of their cards just stood out at me, and I went like, wow. Of course Shaman needed cards. It was a struggling class. That needed some buffing.
I
So
think without them giving Shaman any decent cards, it would have been really bad post the thing. I think the fact that they're losing all their early game and Tunnel Trog Totem Golem means that deck would have just been a worse Jade deck that can't ramp. That's like all they would have had, and I think that would have been pretty bad, to be honest. Um,
I think an aggro version would possibly. I mean, even without Tunnel Trog and Totem Golem, I think an aggro version could probably still do alright.
Maybe, but anyway, I mean, I think the elemental stuff is at least a better direction for Shaman, right? It's more of like a
Elemental
mid-rangey value vibe.
and even
Uh,
a slower control elemental version, I think, will be viable.
yeah,
With
yeah.
the taunts, and then you've even got obviously the Shaman Legendary, which is quite powerful.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that it could definitely be like it's definitely not going to be an aggressive style. I think we could see an aggressive style like Murloc quest deck, but I think that deck,
Oh yeah, possible.
I think the quest is probably not going to be worth it. But this is one of those quests you definitely want to dump your hand to finish because Megafin fills your hand with Murlocs, so it's better
Want
the more less cards you have in your hand, right? Like a divine
obviously,
favor kind of effect. So. In that way that I think that deck is kind of telling itself to be aggressive because on average Murlocs are not
obviously,
good,
yeah.
so you need to get multiple Murlocs to have a likelihood of getting enough good Murlocs. That's how I look at it, right?
No, exactly. Yeah, you definitely need. I mean, you're gonna have to go all like I don't think you will get away with having just like a small Murloc package. Like a
Oh no,
feature
I
package.
completely
Like
believe in the small Murloc package.
what for the quest?
Yes, but I believe in it both being an aggro deck. Like I think Primal Fin Totem. Anyway, I like
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I discussed all of the stuff in my Shaman review, but I believe that you like with Finger's pretty good at bringing out totems because that counts
yeah.
for the quest. You got Call in the Finishes, which is basically like 4 mana, complete 40% of your quest.
Oh yes, yeah. It's quite the finishes,
So
and then there's
so you
obviously
actually can get away, I think, with playing only the Finger
Shaman.
package. Because Primal Fin Totem is, at least one Murloc as well. Finja
Yeah,
is kind of three Murlocs when you play him,
and
and
call it
the
finishes.
Call of the Finishes is four.
So that's possible as well. Yeah.
But
So there's
obviously
probably
that's
going
a slower way. That's like a aggro deck that refills itself with Megafin, which is probably the
so
direction I
more
think it
mid
needs to
range,
go.
or there's a
Yeah,
poorly aggro
maybe
deck.
it is. Maybe it is kind of a little bit mid-rangey because Finja is not that aggressive, really.
No. And then obviously moving on to which I don't think needed much buffing either, Warrior. So I think like we said, I think Pirate Warrior will still be a very strong deck. I think it loses Sir Finley. I
Yeah,
think it's
which is
literally
huge.
the only card
No,
in the
no,
deck.
losing Sir Finley is really big though. Like in the control matchups, it's going to be a lot weaker now.
No, no,
Like,
granted.
and also we were talking about, the control decks are going to get a bit more consistent. So I think they're
Yeah,
going to have more consistent tools. So I think the expansion is going to hurt Pirate Warrior, but it's still going to be there. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think that's a good thing in order to keep decks that are too greedy in check, right? For one, it
yeah.
keeps Jade Druid in check, which is
That's
another deck
it's
that
okay.
people
So
are worried about, right?
the two evils. Do you want Pirate Warrior or Jade Druid?
Yeah, the
Like
meta slows down that everyone's playing control. Fine, I'll play Jade Druid because then I
Jade
don't
Druid.
get punished for being infinitely slow. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, the meta, or like, if the meta's too defensive and stuff. Whereas
We'll
if the
just play
meta's
Aggro.
just like greedy, then okay, I'll play Pyro Warrior. And I actually think that's a good balance too. But that's also kind of why I think
Should
the meta
a
might
very
tend a
well
little bit more
balanced.
towards like a mid-rangey kind of vibe.
And then obviously what I'm looking forward to the most is I believe a Control Warrior-esque deck will be viable with the
Maybe.
Warrior quest as well as a lot of taunts. Like that's kind of
Well, yeah. I mean,
obviously
you have to have taunts. That's how you complete the quest.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying like, and there's a lot of quite solid taunts. I think in terms of the class cards and even the neutrals, the elementals. I think
Yeah.
they're. I mean, I know, like the 2 mana 2/6. I think is going to be even be decent.
Yeah, I think that that quest is going to be a very achievable quest, and I think the reward, getting the Ragnaros hero power, essentially, is pretty strong. I mean, we were just talking about how Ragnaros is a huge miss, but
Hero power.
when your hero power is Ragnaros, obviously, if Ragnaros would survive for 4 turns, it's worse having a hero power that is Ragnaros,
Yeah.
right? Because you have to pay mana for it every turn. But that doesn't likely happen. I mean, we saw in the stream, I think the Ragnaros hero power lasted a lot longer than we'd expect it to last on average.
In terms of because now
Yeah,
like Ragnaros you can kill, you can
yeah,
get rid of, whereas the hero power not so much.
yeah, yeah.
So
So,
I'm really looking forward to that because also I think of it as kind of like as the spiritual successor to Elise, because obviously we're losing Elise,
yeah,
which was a finisher a
well,
lot of the
yeah,
times in Control Warrior, the old Elise
yeah,
obviously.
yeah,
Whereas I think the Warrior Quest is essentially going to be the spiritual successor, as in yes, it takes a while to achieve, but when you get it, it's going to be a very good way of winning the game. A year doing
yeah.
8 damage turn to something.
And I think one of the underrated things is that it's actually going to be important to know when to play it. Like you're not
Yeah,
necessarily just going to slam the last taunt and then slam Sulfuras the turn you get it. I think a lot of the time you might actually hold it until you've stabilized a bit better because you're going to have less ways of gaining armor. Um,
exactly. You're going to want to stabilize first, and then I mean I can even see sort of the plays that I would probably end up doing is going brawl into Sulfurous.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty
The
good.
kind like that seems like a pretty
Yeah,
and you can do that on the turn where you can even hero power still
yeah,
and even attack with a weapon.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So
So
if a small thing survives, you can kill it and then guarantee the Sulfuras goes face. I think that's one of the big things about Sulfuras. It's more than just the hero power. You actually get the weapon to help clear the smaller minions.
exactly. So I think it's gonna be very powerful. Uh, I love the cards. Also, I mean, obviously there's some meme cards in there. Like, I mean, like there's the bad Battle Brothers, but like I think even honestly, I think King Marsh could even be in the deck.
Mm, I
Like
mean, there's talk of it being like
Marsh.
a Jade killer kind of thing,
Yeah,
but
like that's the
it
thing.
is like obviously, if you get Sulfuras, your board clears become better.
Yeah, I
So
mean, obviously if the
maybe,
Jays get, I mean, it's essentially it's kind of if you a 2 mana on turn 10 Deathwing esque without
yeah,
getting rid of
or
your
two
hand.
card Deathwing, yeah,
Yeah, because you go Whirlwind and then King Marsh,
yeah,
which
yeah. How
I think
often you
is
can hold Whirlwind for that long, I don't know, but we'll see.
so yeah, that's and then you've got the Tar Lord and you've got a bunch. So I definitely think Warrior is going to still be a dominant deck. And so the scary thing I
Or yeah, a
realize
dominant class at least.
is,
I
is
think
that
it'll have multiple archetypes, which is I think healthy.
but like, the fact that Shaman and Warrior are both still I predict going to still be there means that our days of sealing Thrall and Thrall and Grommash
Garnish.
are not over.
Yeah, yeah. I think that some people are going to be a bit annoyed by that, kind of the fact that, but like, I think that's natural to expect when these kind of rotations happen. We see it in like other card games that have similar rotation mechanics, right? It's not that unusual for a color or a class to be sort of slowly filtered out. It's not going to just go from good to bad a lot of the time very quickly, unless it has a particularly strong set that was carrying it.
Yeah,
And so I think that's how we're going to see. We just sort of want to see a more natural rise. I think one of the saddest things is, to me, I think Priest is just getting shat on with this expansion because I think the only real viable deck they've had for a long time has been Dragon Priest, which pretty much completely goes away with Blackrock Mountain.
well, I mean, what's a Control Priest was a deck.
I
I
mean, somebody
mean,
took Reno Priest to prelims and it sucked.
yeah,
So
no, but I'm saying, but like
straight up
further
Control
ago,
Priest, maybe.
with Death Lords back in the day.
Yeah, but there's no Death
Death,
Lords though.
yeah,
I mean,
I
you
miss
could
Death
run Dirty
Lord.
Rat, but
I miss Death Lord. Chinese priest, I think, was one of the better dragon. I mean, one of the better priest archetypes as well.
yeah, yeah.
The we ran Shredders and Villains Chosen and the good days.
Yeah. I mean, even Combo Priest is gone, right? The Ginny OTK combo deck because we lose Thorison. Poor
Yeah,
Thorison. Rip.
yeah, yeah. Thaurissan just obviously hurts a lot of decks that even and I think we even kind of forgot to mention the like Warlock, the fact that it's losing power overwhelming as well
Yeah, yeah.
means that well,
There's no sort of
Leroy
combo for the control deck to have as a
exactly, yeah.
finisher. You obviously can't get the Thorison reduction, and even if you could, you don't even have like a 10 damage burst combo. I mean, the best you can do is 12 damage for two cards, which is probably not good enough a lot of the time.
Just okay,
You'd rather just finish with Jiraxxus most of the time.
or yeah, I was about to say Rag, and then I realized.
Nah, no rag, rip.
Yeah. I mean, you see, we might even start seeing Ysera making a comeback.
Yeah, it is possible.
Like,
Ysera is a super slow way of winning the game, right? Though, like she
God,
does nothing
yeah.
on the turn you play her, and unless you get the perfect dream card the first turn, she does nothing the second turn, basically.
Well,
Uh,
can hit something, can kill something
yeah,
small.
but it's 4 and it's turn
Yeah,
9, so I feel like most decks are just gonna ignore her and go face. So
yeah, granted. So, I mean, that's why it's a thing of and then I wasn't exactly sold by a lot of the new legendaries either. I mean, the neutral legendaries. I mean,
they're very niche, right? Some of
they're
them,
very
like
niche, and
Vorax
none
and
of them are sort of
stuff like that.
general utility. I mean,
Yeah,
Ozrak
none
is
of them
the
are
only
a win
element.
condition for the decks that
Honest,
struggle with the win condition, right? Like Priest, like I feel like their quest reward isn't necessarily a win condition because because everyone is going to be expecting like 5 mana 8/8s basically,
oh yes,
like
yeah.
because they will like that's pretty much the minion reward for most of the quests that like reward you a minion.
Not to mention
So
the actual 5 and 8/8.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Got a Tide Hydra. That's another card that I think a lot of people are sleeping on because it snuck out right at the end. I think that's probably going to be part of the best Druid deck that there will
It's
be.
gonna be part
It's a
of
Beast
the
Druid.
best aggro decks. What
Yeah.
5 and 8/8? Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, it could make a class like I think Control Warrior will like destroy that aggro deck. With the whirlwind effects are the best way to abuse the downside of the Hydra, and
Yeah.
also you can just abuse it a bunch of times and then
Execute.
execute it. Yeah.
The only legendary that I would say is kind of a versatile is probably Elise. The
Yeah.
effect is kind of,
I,
the rest of
I
them are
I've
alternating.
heard you're guaranteed a legendary from the pack, but I don't know.
You get guaranteed an epic,
Or
high chance
better.
of legendary.
Okay. I mean, but once again, we're saying that the legendaries are not necessarily going to be good enough most of the time, not quite situational. So getting a legendary, maybe that's not that great because it's specifically on Guru, right? So like
Yeah.
you can get Elise from Elise for infinite value.
I don't know if you can get it's because it's a pack. You can still get. You could. There will be the fun interactions of getting legendaries from
Other
other
classes
classes.
quests. Or oh, you just mean
No,
other
you
classes
won't get
legendaries?
you won't get the quests. I think they said. Oh, no,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can.
Can you? I don't know. I mean, I know they removed the quests from Arena, so
Yeah, you should be able to get quests from packs.
I don't
So
know. We'll
just
see.
going through it, you don't really want to get Clutch Mother Zavis.
You don't want to get any of the quests.
Kalimos is not
They're all
bad
bad.
if you play Elemental.
I don't know.
Yeah, most of the
I
legendaries are
don't
actually
think
not bad.
Elise is gonna be as good as old Elise in controlled mirrors.
Listen, there'll be some fun moments. I'm like when I'm looking at Lyra. If you get Lyra, you
Yeah,
can see
yeah,
some funny.
it's
Like there's
crazy
gonna be some
stuff.
fun shenanigans happening. But
It's gonna be
obviously,
some good
everything else
Trollden
is good.
videos. I think the set is
So,
gonna be great for people like Trollden and Disguised Toast to create videos. I mean, we already saw some Disguised Toast videos on the release stream, so.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's going to be great for them. But overall, I'm still pretty excited. There's a lot of decks I
yeah.
really want to tinker with. And yeah, I mean, I've done a lot more, like a much more comprehensive review for the classes. So I'd encourage you to check that out on my channel if you want to know some more of my thoughts specifically. But yeah, it's good to hear your thoughts,
I'm
Pandemonia.
just, I'm just quite excited.
Yeah, new
Uh,
cards, new things to play
new
with.
stuff, new
Yeah,
toys. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So, and just to everybody watching or who's watches, don't forget to collect your daily rewards.
Yeah,
Continue
daily
collecting them.
login rewards. I think I've missed one of mine on NA because it's just
Yeah,
logging in.
I've even been playing on NA a bit to get those rewards. So you get a bunch of packs, some dust, some gold. And I
Yeah.
think the last day you get the golden, what's it, volcano sword.
Volcanosaur, yeah, which I
I
think
don't
is
even
pretty
know if it's going
bad,
to be
but
that good. Oh, I don't even know if it's
you
going
can probably dust it. I
I
don't
think they
know.
say they said you can dust it.
Yeah.
I know, I'll probably just keep it because I'm a collector, but
Yes, because you're a hoarder. I will
I'm a
probably also
hoarder.
keep it, but yeah. I mean,
Yeah, but
for most people, they can probably dust it.
yeah, especially if you're opening packs, you're going to open normal ones anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I mean that's all I really have to say for Nkuro for sort of a brief overview.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before we sign
No,
off?
just looking forward to it, and we'll obviously be able to say more once the release, it releases, and then we get to see what's good
Yeah,
and what's
next week we'll have some better ideas of like what decks worked and what didn't, and maybe we'll discuss that a bit next week and some
yeah.
prospective deck lists. But once again, I have deck lists and like full reviews for classes uh, on my YouTube channel. So yeah, check that out, and please like, subscribe, follow, do all those things to help the channel grow, and let us know any feedback. Maybe you completely disagree with our ranking of the classes, or maybe you side with Pandemonia and
The
not me on
priest,
that priest is going to be good instead of trash. Um,
priest
but
for
yeah,
life.
yeah. I mean, let us know any of your thoughts. Any last shout outs or anything you wanna?
Thanks once again. Always fun.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks
Cheers.
everyone. Cheers. See you next time.
Cheers.